Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Scott's gonna be a few minutes late. I'm hoping Mary is able to come, otherwise we have a problem. I'm gonna check with her. No, we don't have a problem. We have a quorum. What am I talking about? Forget it. We're good. All right, 6 o'clock. And I'm gonna call the meeting to order. The Shutesbury Conservation Commission, August 30th. Present are Miriam DeFont, Robin Harrington, and Beth Wilson on the commission. And at 6 o'clock, we have a public hearing scheduled, which we are now going to open. Is everybody for the project here? I see Matt Stickwitz is here.
Yeah. Hi. Evening, everyone.
Are you waiting for anybody else?
I don't believe so. Becky may join if she's available, but I don't believe she has anything to necessarily provide.
Okay. So I'm going to open the public hearing for the amended order of conditions request for the Locks Pond culvert replacement, DP file number 2860279. This request to amend the order of conditions is being reviewed under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Shutesbury General Wetlands Protection Bylaw. So I would like to curate our time efficiently tonight because we have a hard stop at 7 o'clock and we have a couple of brief agenda items we need to take care of. So just want to kind of be mindful about how we're using time and make sure we kind of move things along. So my apologies if I cut anybody off, just to see if we can move the discussion. So we have a request from the town to reopen the permit for the Locks Pond Culvert project and make some changes. We discussed this at our last meeting last week and decided that this was a minor change that was being requested. Mm-hmm. And it was minor enough that we were not going to require a new notice of intent, but could amend the order of conditions after a public hearing process tonight. So there's been a legal notice and abutters have been notified, which are procedural safeguards for public participation. So Matt Stickwitz is here, the engineer for the town with Niche Engineering. And Matt, I'm sure we'll have some questions, but I'm wondering if you could just take 5 minutes and give us a brief synopsis of what has changed and what you're asking for.
Yeah, correct. I mean, the primary reason for the request to the amended order of conditions was to extend the time of year restrictions on the project. Originally, the original order of conditions set the project time of year restrictions from August through September. We're now reaching the beginning of September, and construction has not been able to begin. We anticipate construction to begin in the next couple of days, but is going to necessitate some additional time. So we're asking that time of year restrictions be amended in the order of conditions to allow construction to be completed this year. We had given a
Hold on
November
one second.
16th.
I'm seeing Carrie
sorry.
Marshall has her hand raised. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Hi,
Carrie,
sorry, I apologize for interrupting, but I just got a notification saying that someone else has logged into the Zoom account and it's signing me out. So I don't know if it's going to kick me out. It hasn't yet. Just a
can
forewarning.
you make me a co-host, please?
Did make you a co-host already.
Okay, so then
So far it hasn't kicked me out, but I just want to let everyone know just in case
there's
it
too many
does
hosts.
fall out. No, it says it's as someone else signed on from a different device, meaning a different laptop, a phone, or something. I'm not sure who or why, but so far it hasn't kicked us out, but I just wanted to make everyone aware that if it drops, that's the reason why.
Okay, all right. Hopefully that won't be a problem. If we get booted out for some reason, everybody just try to log back in. Oh, and I see that Scott Kahn from the commission is here now too. I don't know if Mary David's here. Is she? I don't see her. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No problem. Yeah. So I think I was just ending with the time of year restrictions. The extension of the time of year restrictions is the primary request that's part of this hearing. Additional project updates are that a new control of water plan has been submitted to the Conservation Commission for approval. That doesn't necessarily require a change to the order of conditions. It's still, the new plan still meets the existing order of conditions. We're just notifying the town and allowing them to, or notifying the commission and allowing them to review and provide, feedback and comments on that, the new water control. And the third thing that we're requesting is an extension to the overall permit. The existing permit expires on November 12th, I believe, and we're asking for just a standard extension to that permit to allow construction to finish this year and additional monitoring and maintenance of the site for the next few years.
Yeah. So procedurally, what we will do is we'll review the amended order of conditions. And I think what we will do is just include in this public hearing process questions and discussion about the control of water plan. And so that when we approve the new amended order of conditions, we'll simultaneously approve the water plan, the water control plans. But then the extension permit request is a separate process and has to happen after we amend it. So we'll amend the permit, close the public hearing, and then tonight we will approve or review the extension request.
Okay.
Okay. And that's the order. So I had a couple questions from looking over the design. Maybe you could just comment on them. One was that you said that the new plan meets the conditions of the old order of conditions, the new controlled water plan. But I emailed you that there was a provision in the old order of conditions saying that the control of water plan needed to have a provision for how to salvage fish and other wildlife that get stranded in the dewatering system. And I didn't see any mention of it in the old or the new water plan.
Yeah, that's correct. I saw that email last night, and I did look through. And I talked to the contractor today, or I sent him an email. He still hasn't responded, asking his thoughts on that condition. I don't anticipate it would be a problem. Like you said, it was a requirement of the initial order of conditions. So it would have been something the contractor would have had to consider and have some plan in place to salvage stranded aquatic animals. So I like I said, I don't anticipate he would have an issue with that. So I'm fine with that condition being added as a way of keeping things moving and not having to revise that plan,
But what
having it as you
So
suggested.
what I have proposed, and I have it in the draft order of conditions that we can review tonight, is just adding a condition about what we would be looking for so that we don't have to hold the project up with them coming back to us with something that then we have to approve at a later date. We'll approve it tonight. And then as long as I did send the language to the contractor and
Yes.
to Matt so that they would have some idea of what might be the language that we might be looking for. And hopefully it is it's not too technical, and I would imagine that it could easily be accomplished.
Agreed. Yeah, and I certainly didn't have a comment. The only I think in your suggestion you had recommended beginning and end of the project day, and I agree with that. That's typical a procedure where they will check it when they first arrive to the site, if anything had gotten in from the night before, and then again make sure it's clean before they leave.
That'd be great. Okay, and that's how I have it written. That's terrific. Some other questions I have is it looks like your contingency for the water control plan is to increase the capacity from 19 cubic feet per second to 40. Is there any provision for flow over 40 cubic feet per second, given that we've had 5 instances this year where flow topped 50?
I believe so. In the water control plan, the same contingency was in place as before, where they would have pumps on site. Not in continuous use, not as a primary system, but if something did exceed, the flow, the bypass capacity, they would engage the pumps to mitigate, the flow in the stream and help alleviate temporarily help alleviate some of the flow. So that hasn't changed. That would be the same additional. I believe their pumps were for 10 cubic feet per second. I don't have it. Don't want to waste your time searching for it in the document.
And there was a larger auxiliary pipe that we had discussed. Is that going to be on site?
I don't believe so. I think they will just have again, with the 40 cubic feet, they'll have an additional pipe capable of another 10. And this is again going off of memory. I don't have the exact thing, and I don't want to waste your time looking for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't believe they're going to have an auxiliary pipe in place, auxiliary pump in place, in addition to the standard auxiliary pump. That being said, I don't know if we've recorded a 50 cubic feet per. I mean, the highest we recorded it since we've been measuring is I think actually today Becky sent me some numbers that were somewhere.
24.
What's that, Becky?
24 cubic feet per second.
24 cubic feet per second. So we're still, even at a high flow, we're still considerably lower than the full capacity. And with the dam there, so I know in the west branch, we were seeing some high spikes earlier this year, but the dam has been, provides some difficulties, but that is one of the benefits of the dam, is that it provides a stopgap for those massive spikes. It doesn't allow a big rush of water, kind of dissipates the water and regulates the flow. So we won't see
I see that Beth had her hand raised. So why don't we see what Beth wanted to ask?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we could get a quick summary of the changes to the water plan.
Yeah, sure. This is it basically what happened is the flow this year has been, higher than anticipated. Typically the flow is around 8 cubic feet per second in a standard year. The water control bypass system, the temporary system they were used to divert the stream, was designed for 20 cubic feet per second, but the flow we've been seeing with the rainfall this year has exceeded that. So they've increased the bypass. Instead of two 18-inch diameter bypass pipes, they're increasing it to one 48-inch diameter bypass pipe, which has a capacity of 40 cubic feet per second. It's the same footprint as the original bypass, the same general approach to diverting the stream. It's just a bigger pipe capable of handling more flow.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Couple more questions, Matt, and just brief answers will be good. We don't want to get into a big discussion, but the pipe is going to be buried for a length of time. How will the grades above surface be stabilized during the area where it's being buried?
It's going to be backfilled. So they're if you're asking about the
surface.
slope, it'll be
Will there be any material on top of it to prevent
not during the few weeks that it's in place. I mean, there wouldn't be anything really to establish. You need vegetation really to establish it. So they'll keep it at a construction standard 2-to-1 maximum slope with erosion controls at the base of the slope to capture any.
And what's the source
off.
of the material that's going to be used? Where is that material coming from?
It's the same material that's being excavated. So the embankment is being excavated, stockpiled on site. The bypass will be put in place, and then the same material will be reset on top of it to create that embankment for the contractor to work and install the culvert.
And then two more questions. One was the controlled water plan discussed piping road drains, but I didn't see that on the designs. Existing road drains being piped. And I'm curious about that.
There isn't any road drains on this project. There's no I think the only drain is a swale. So there's no drains in the site. So I'm guessing that may have been just a standard detail that they put on their control water plans if it's needed. But unless I'm again,
yeah, they're mentioning putting some pumps into it, and there was a lot of detail. I was curious about. There is a swale on Locks Pond Road, but I thought that wasn't being disturbed. That was going to just continue with its normal drainage.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of these plans typically they just have a lot of standard details for projects, so they reuse a lot of the standard details. So that may be just a standard detail they put on their plans just to capture all the different scenarios that may come up. But in this project, I don't think it's a relevant detail. There aren't any.
And then there was a mention of a construction flood contingency plan, and I wondered if that exists and if it could be provided to the commission.
If it does, I didn't see I didn't see that reference, so apologies. Yeah, I don't believe one exists.
It's in the water control plan. It says that it was sent on a separate cover. And I didn't see it in the notice of intent, so I'm imagining it's a different document.
I have not seen it either. If the contractor did prepare one, they didn't send it to us. It wasn't we didn't require that as a submission for the project. So that was never a requirement for us, for the engineer of the town. So I haven't seen it, but I can certainly request the contractor to provide a copy if there is one.
Yeah, if you could clarify that would be helpful. Okay. Are there more questions from the commission?
No.
Couple things about the amended order. One is that I just want to note that the town never recorded the original order of conditions. I checked in the registry. That's a problem, but this one will absolutely have to be recorded before any work begins, which means if you want to begin work next week, you're going to have to make some arrangement tomorrow or Friday to get to the registry. Someone will have to get to the registry to record it.
Okay. That's I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Becky, is that something that the town can assist on?
We'll see what vacation plans won't happen.
Well,
a
it has to be
But we'll get it
recorded.
done. Yes, I know.
It's actually a state requirement. It's not even something that we have control over. It's in the, it's a DP state requirement, so. Okay. The other question I have two questions, and really one is about the time of year restrictions, that you're asking for, and I'm fine with accommodating the town, but I do have concerns about having the in-water work and bypass work continuing past November 1st, when the town is going to begin its winter drawdown. The town is constrained. It has to do the drawdown in a limited period of time. And so we don't want to be interfering with that. And we don't want that to be changed. And it seems cleaner and I guess less complicated if the in-water bypass work could be concluded by November 1st. Is that feasible?
I would love to say that it is. I can't provide that guarantee, though. I know that any in-water work would need to be completed by, we're saying November 16th as kind of the anticipated, stop time that winter and cold weather conditions would become an issue. Like I said in my email response to this, question previously, it's very likely the bypass will be done and out, but the stream diverted back to the new culvert before November 1st. I think it's currently scheduled for mid-October, so we would, anything beyond that.
Have you
it seems
consulted?
unlikely.
Have you consulted with the dam keeper to see whether how this will affect the drawdown and the timing of the drawdown?
I haven't spoke with Howard, and like I said, if the bypass is in place past November 1st, there would have to be coordination with Howard. It's a month-long process to draw down the lake, so it wouldn't be fully opening the sluice gate. It would be a slow opening of the sluice gate, and with 40 cubic feet per second, obviously we're more than doubling the capacity here. We should have plenty of capacity. I don't anticipate that opening the sluice gate, the required amount to begin a drawdown is going to overload the bypass. And if we saw any weather coming in, we could certainly work with Howie to adapt his drawdown schedule. I don't anticipate that it's going to impact the drawdown at all. Once the lake gets below the spillway, which really should only be within the first couple days of the drawdown beginning, then all the water will be coming through the sluiceway, and we know that the sluiceway has about the same capacity as the bypass we're putting in. So once the water is down below the spillway, then there's almost no chance of the bypass being overloaded or having to reduce the flow in the sluiceway unless we're opening the sluiceway entirely 100%.
So I would just want an understanding that in addition to coordinating with the dam keeper, you would need to coordinate with us if there was going to be any alteration to the drawdown procedure. That because that's under a permit, that would, if there have to be modifications, and I know, Becky, I see your hand you raised, and I know we're going to have a discussion about it at a later meeting, but I don't want to have that discussion tonight. We're not prepared, and I just want to make it really clear that would have to be discussed with us. Becky, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you repeat, Miriam, exactly what you are wanting to discuss about the drawdown?
So our understanding is that the order of conditions permits the drawdown to begin on November 1st, and it must be completed by December 1st. And the rate of drawdown can't be any more than 3 inches in a 24-hour period. So if there's going to be any change over that, then we would want to have this reviewed with us.
Okay.
And we can schedule that we got a few weeks before November 1st. So we got some time to talk about it if they're anticipating and you want to have some anticipatory discussion to be prepared for contingencies, but just want to be sort of clear about that. Okay.
Sure. Yes, and the construction schedule that we have now, if construction begins as on September 5th, sorry, as they're anticipating, it'll be done. The bypass will be done mid-October. So if we're not seeing that being met, we'll certainly be in touch and let you know. So we're talking about very, I would say, unlikely circumstances of having it still in place beyond November, but we're just being cautious and asking for as much time as we're permitted so that we can.
So the only other issue, there are two more issues. One is you're requesting a 3-year extension, and I guess I'm uncomfortable with granting a 3-year extension for a permit that's already 3 years old. The wetland delineation was done in 2019, so it's already 4 years old. And this area has now become adjacent to a mapped natural heritage site. I would feel much more comfortable with granting the town a 1-year extension to November 12th of 2024.
Becky,
Well, I guess I know Matt had focused on the 2 years of monitoring the stream bed as the reason for the biggest reason for the extension. And so at a minimum, I would think a 2-year would be helpful to the town and to the stream bed and the environment. So I'm not.
The work would have to be completed. There's nothing barring the town from continuing to monitor. And, you know, the town.
So
could-
just to add, so.
Let me just finish what I was saying, excuse me. The town certainly could wait 2 years before requesting a certificate of compliance if it felt that it needed to, but for the work, a lot can change in 3 years, as we have already seen, and I'm just uncomfortable with extending this permit another 3 years. It seems like 1 year would be sufficient, given that you're already beginning construction. It gives you a whole nother construction season.
So I agree with you. We're anticipating work to be completed definitely within the next year, by this year for sure. And if not, it would be within the time of year, hopefully the stream work, worst case scenario by next year for sure. So like worst case, if you're not comfortable extending, my request, just to clarify that, was because when we're doing a natural stream bed, and it doesn't happen often, but a lot of times they don't settle in as they anticipated, as you kind of have it neatly drawn up on your plans. There's a lot of streams kind of do their own thing, and they drop sediment in places that you don't want it to be, and they scour things in places you don't want to be, and it just gives the town the opportunity to go into the water and adjust that, to place some more riprap, to divert the stream in a more favorable natural pattern, to make sure that the culvert bed isn't being exposed. So, all the work you did to make a natural stream bed isn't washing away, and you end up with a concrete bottom culvert anyway. So like Becky said, I think this is advantageous environmentally and, and just in terms of having a good practice of giving the town the opportunity to maintain that without having to go through an entire notice of intent process again to get back into the wetlands to do that, because a lot of times when they don't have that opportunity, it goes unaddressed. I mean, if it isn't a structural issue, they won't, and they don't have the access to maintain the stream bed, they won't, and you see them washed away. So not that I'm saying the town would do that by any means, but it saves, it gives the town the opportunity to really maintain it and end with a,
the other
condition.
possibility, and I'm understanding, and I appreciate not wanting to go through a notice of intent process again, and I'm not suggesting that, but it's also possible that if there was damage done to the stream bed and it was going to affect the infrastructure, we could consider this under an emergency certification as a repair, or even a friendly enforcement where we would allow the town to do the work in a sense, without having to go through a notice of intent process. So there are other tools at our disposal. I guess I would feel more comfortable going that route than just a blanket 3-year permit. at this stage. But,
Um,
you know,
has-
I guess we need to hear from the rest of the commission as well. And I think we need to move on.
I'm hopeful to hear from the rest of the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, I'm asking other people to weigh in.
Well, I think I understand what Matt's trying to say. And that, I would, in the next year and a half, the stream will settle and it'll take time and they may want to get back in there and do something else. I guess I would be all right with a 2-year permit. And I just want to clarify that, yeah, the monitoring can happen, that the permit is really just for the work. So, the monitoring can go on for years and years and we don't need to extend the permit for the monitoring. It's just for the work.
And I would also be okay with 2 years.
Scott,
You're muted.
He's
he said, okay. All right, so I guess what we'll do is we'll go with 2 years, if that's all right with the town. We can work with that. So I'd like to move on. I'd like to move on if we can. Do folks feel like they have enough information now to make a decision and to close the public hearing? Let me first see, are there any public comments? Does the commission feel like it has enough information to close the public hearing?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would they like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
My second,
okay, Defont, aye, Harrington,
aye.
on. Scott, are you a yes? Yes, you're muted, but I get it. Okay, and Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, so let's go through the draft order of conditions. And we'll make some edits. Given the discussion we've had, I'm going to put it on screen share. Try to do this. So what I have done is I've taken the existing permit and I revised it partially because there were some conditions that were no longer applicable because they've gotten farther enough along in the process. So I consolidated the permit with some of our stock language as well as some specific language based on some of the discussion we've had. Okay. So this is just basically, saying, outlining here, A, B, and C are the wetlands that were mapped and delineated as part of this project. And I'm not gonna review all of this unless commissioners, you have any suggestions or comments to this section. Okay. Land subject to flooding was not delineated or approved. Project is located downstream of the dam of Lake Wyola. Project proposes, this is the impacts from the notice of intent to replace the culvert. The estimated impacts in the original NOI were to alter 109 linear feet of bank, 1,362 square feet of land under water bodies and waterways, and then riverfront area, as well as 25 square feet of BBW. The order of conditions expires on November 12th, and I'm making a note here that it was not recorded. The reason why I'm making this note is because usually when you amend an order of conditions, you note the book and page number on which the original order was recorded, but it wasn't recorded. I just want to also note in here that there's an Army Corps of Engineers permit that will expire on April 5th. And if the work continues past the 24th, they will need to get an extension on that permit. And then finding 6 is just a summary of the conditions that we approved at our July 7th meeting. I'm not going to review that. We inspected erosion controls on July 13th, and then the work stopped because of high flow in late July. They're submitted a request for an amended order of conditions. This is all basically that. The original order of conditions for this project required a control of water plan with a methodology for salvage and relocation of organisms. So we're going to be hereby approving the control of water plan with a proviso that condition number 30 below will need to be satisfied, which will outline a methodology for that. Does that make sense for you guys? Okay. All right, more boilerplate. Here are the documents. I'm mentioning here the extension request just so that it's in this order of conditions. We have to issue a separate extension permit. It's a separate document, but I wanted it referenced here. So I had put in 2024, but we can make it to 2025. That's what we're all agreeing on, yes?
Yep.
Okay. And then the special conditions, Janice pointed this out.
Sorry, I think it still says 1 year in that up above where you just changed the date.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Janice mentioned that when we have special conditions, we should be incorporating the general conditions that are part of the notice of intent order of conditions form. So I just added that as boilerplate, those 19 conditions that are on the DEP order of conditions form 5. Okay, now let's get into it. So this is all boilerplate, but it does say that they're going to have to record the order at the registry. And this is just all boilerplate, you know, activities can't change without getting approval from us. All applicants, contractors, subcontractors have the responsibility of being complying with the order. And then I added clarifying language to the item that was in the original order of conditions that references the drawdown. So just for the sake of somebody who doesn't know what that drawdown is saying, I just summarized what I told everybody in the public hearing, that the drawdown permit, which was issued in 2018, has this time of year restriction and a rate of drawdown limitation. Does that look good?
One question.
Well, we can't really take questions, Becky, after the public hearing's closed. So commissioners, is that fine with you? All right. Do we want to make a note here? Any changes to this procedure will require review by the commission?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. Applicant, emergencies, write a letter saying they've read the conditions, and then again, before any work commences, they record the amended orders of conditions, because there will be 2 of them. All right. And pre-construction, I removed a lot of it because we're not really in the pre-construction phase anymore. But prior to resumption, the applicant shall submit a project construction sequencing schedule, and if any changes are made to that schedule or work is halted for more than 1 work day, the commission shall be notified and an updated version provided to the commission, just so we're aware of any halts. We have an understanding of what's going on. And that they will notify us 48 hours before the resumption of work. So erosion controls will be in place for all phases. approved erosion controls, limited the work, that's all the same. One thing I did add here was a provision for monitoring, because we had in the permit that there would be daily inspections and repairs as needed. But asking for a once a week written brief report and an email to the commission with photos showing the condition of the erosion controls, and we can have a site visit and show the contractor where we would like the photographs taken, so that they're, taking photos of the same thing every time. It would be helpful to us, I think. And that way we can eliminate the need for maybe inspections, site inspections. Is that okay?
Good.
All right. Should site conditions result, now here's a question. Should site conditions result in erosion controls becoming submerged, as they did in July? I'm suggesting that no further work be allowed until the erosion controls are no longer submerged. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. Another way to say it would just be, if the site becomes flooded, all work should stop. But I mean, that's fine. That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
It's hard to define what we mean by flooded, but and I understand that there's parts of the erosion controls that go down to the water's edge, and there might be in the water, but there was a huge area in the BVW that had like a foot of water on it. So obviously erosion controls don't function when water can flow over them. All right.
No, that makes sense.
Okay. Should any emergency changes be required to the controlled water dewatering system, the commission will be notified within 12 hours. No discharge of water without proper sedimentation should be allowed. And then this was Janice's recommendation, since there's all these time of year issues, that I just put it in a table so that somebody looking at this permit would see it all in one place. So here we've got all work, time of year restriction would be 2005. In water work, they're asking for an extension to November 16th. So I think we need to decide what our requirement is going to be for that.
Yeah, I'm okay with the 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, Mary's here. Hi, Mary.
Hey.
Okay. And okay, so that's what I've got. Does that look good?
Yep.
And
Yes.
then there's just
Yep.
the other information. Okay. Okay, here's the condition 30 around salvaging. For the duration of the dewatering process, the applicant shall inspect the coffer dam and outlet area for stranded aquatic organisms like fish, turtles, frogs, snakes, salamanders. At the beginning and end of each workday, aquatic organisms shall be salvaged using rubber netting. So you can buy those online, a rubber fish net, to avoid disrupting the surface of the fish. Any direct handling of fish should be kept to a minimum and must be with wet hands, and they would transfer the critters to a basin or a 5-gallon bucket of water. Ideally water that was taken from the river, so it has some, or from the lake. And then directly take it downstream out of the work area and release them into the flow.
Looks good.
It's good. All right. And ask them to take photographs of any salvaged critters and then submit that with the report, the erosion control report. Okay, then now this is pretty much boilerplate kind of stuff. Here the bypass will be flushed and not perched. Turbidity, we want to make sure that the applicant, the contractor understands that there has to be some inspection of turbidity. as a daily condition, and we might, if we have concerns about water turbidity, we might ask for more documentation. All right, slopes be stabilized. Now, there had been in the conditions, the order of conditions, that we were going to review and approve the choice of stone for the culvert stream channel, and I'm not entirely familiar. I don't believe we did approve it back in 2021. I think at that time it was going to be up to the contractor to propose the substrate, and I don't think that that was ever brought to us.
Sorry about that. I can provide a little context if you're willing to.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
So the contractor is going to be, they submitted the riprap to be used, which is MassDOT material. And they are delivering a small batch to the site, the first, truckload to the site, I believe, in the first week, and have asked me to be there to confirm that the material is correct. So for the riprap, kind of basin and slope,
No, I think
revetment.
the bigger concern, Matt, was about the substrate, the rock substrate for the Thalweg
stream bed.
simulation.
Right. So that, and then that, I believe they were going to, when they excavate the stream bed material, so there's going to be some excavation they need to do in the stream bed material to excavate down to put this culvert 2 feet deep below the bottom of the existing. So they were going to reuse the existing stream bed material as the
I'm okay
preferred.
with, let's just move. I'm just going to cut you off because we're running out of time here.
Sure.
I'm okay with just removing this for simplicity's sake, okay?
Yep.
Also, there was a reference in the original order of conditions for some planting of trees and shrubs, and I'm just going to put in here that they will give us a planting and vegetation management plan for the site that we will approve at a later date. Is that right?
Yeah.
Just in the intro, and then this is all completion and of this, and then a site visit at the end of the project. And then I put in 2 perpetual conditions that we typically put in near the lake for pesticides and fertilizers. All right. Any other questions or comments from the commission? We're good.
No, looks
All right,
good.
so I've got 2 versions of Form 5. I've got the DP Form 5 already loaded up. And I'll with the commission's approval issue that, but then we've got the NOI form that we've developed for our bylaws. So there will be 2 separate permits that I will send to the commission, to the applicant, and both of them have to be recorded at the registry. So I'm not going to bother right now showing the forms. I think if you guys trust me to fill it out properly.
I trust you.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve the amended order of conditions for this project?
I make a
I make
motion
a
to
motion
approve
to,
the amended order of conditions.
Okay, and second?
second,
second.
Okay, David,
Aye.
Font, I, Harrington,
Aye.
Wilson,
aye.
Con.
Hi.
You're back. We can talk to you now.
Oh, good. I
okay.
don't know what's going on with my mic, but it's working now.
All right. We've already discussed it. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the extension permit for 2 years?
I make a motion to approve the extension for the project for 2 years.
Second,
Second.
David,
Second. Aye.
DeFont, I, Harrington,
Aye.
Con,
Hi.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay. And do I have everybody's permission to sign digitally?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and the extension permit also has to be recorded. And I imagine you could probably combine the extension permit with the order of conditions in one recording, but that's above my pay grade. Okay, I think we're done with this. I'm going to move on, guys, because we got a couple of quick items on our agenda. Matt, thank you for your time, and thank you, Becky.
Yeah, I thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So, we, have gotten back the legal review of the bylaw regulations from Beth Goodman. I had, a phone meeting with her and went over her comments. And, I have revised the regulations based on her comments. They were very minor. Overall, she felt they were good regulations and legally viable regulations, and she did not have any major concerns with the viability or enforceability of our bylaw. So, those draft regulations are up on our website for anyone to see currently, and I've sent them to the commission. And I talked with Beth about the next steps in the process. We are meeting on the 14th, and I was going to propose having Beth come for a short period of time, maybe a half an hour, for a discussion only with the commission. It wouldn't be a public hearing. We wouldn't be accepting public comment, just an opportunity for the commissioners to talk with her. And then schedule a public hearing as we have been discussing. Is that agreeable with you guys?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I would like to propose that we schedule the public hearing for Wednesday, the 20th. I checked with Janice, she's available. Beth Goodman's available. If we want, we can arrange for Patrick Garner to also be present, which might be helpful in case there's technical questions. If we want to have him there as well. So,
That date's fine.
Yeah,
okay. Do we want Pat Garner there?
I don't think is there anything different than what was at the last meeting with him?
Well, we've changed some things, and if there's questions, it might be good to have a technical consultant there, I think. I would suggest that we do it. It means a couple hours of his time. We do have some money in our bylaw fee account that we could use to hire him for that.
Okay. Why not?
That's a good idea. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get a proposal from him for us to approve at our 14th meeting, and I'm going to arrange for Beth to be at that meeting. And again, that'll be for a short period of time. It didn't take her long to go through the regulations, so she has not used up the whole 5 hours. So I think that with the 5 hours of time, we can include her time at the hearing. But I'm going to double check with her. If it's a matter where she doesn't feel like she can do it all and be at the public hearing, then we would have to get permission from the select board to use our bylaw fee account to hire her for that time. I know it takes time to get things approved through the select board, so I'm asking for the Concom's permission to proceed in making that request if we need it, so that it can get approved in a timely way and we can go forward with the hearing on the 20th.
Sounds good.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I need a vote for that because as long as you're all in agreement. Next thing, and we're going to run out of time, but I did want to go over this. There was this enforcement matter that came to our attention last week when two abutters reported that their neighbor was observed bringing in many truckloads of fill and distributing it in and near wetlands on their property. And they were concerned that the fill was possibly dirty fill coming from the Pelham Highway Department from road maintenance. As a result of all of this, we did a site visit with Robin and Janice. What we learned was that in fact, many truckloads of Pelham Highway Department fill was brought to this property. The owner works for the Highway Department in Pelham and had approval from their superintendent to take this roadside maintenance material. And the abutters reported that there had been upwards of dozens of truckloads over a 2-year period. I had a conversation with the Pelham Highway Department superintendent. He did not deny that it happened. He didn't have a clear idea of how much was delivered. He didn't think it was dozens, but he couldn't say that it wasn't dozens. So that is not something we're going to be able to clarify. The landowners initially were not willing to consent to a site visit until they had reviewed the situation with their attorney, and they hired a wetland consultant. And DP went out last week and also reviewed the site from the road and from the abutters property and asked for site access. At this stage, DP has said that they are interested in taking over enforcement on this matter because it's a big, complicated, messy situation. Obviously they have resources at their disposal that we do not have, like they have staff attorneys and things. And it's pretty complicated it's going to be complicated. So we need to approve that. I did ask DEP if we could be present for the site visit that's being planned for next week. They said they did not want to have the whole commission there. They're willing to have one representative. It's Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I was going to propose, if the commission is okay, that I attend that site visit, and I'll document what's observed and write a report.
Oh, okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, so are we all in agreement that it's okay for DEP to take over?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I don't know how much they will keep us in the loop. I'm assuming we may want to be kept in the loop. You can't have two enforcement matters going on for the same activity, but if they were to decline to do something and we later felt that it was something we did want to take up, I think we would have another bite at the apple. Let's say if there were alterations in a buffer zone and they said, okay, that's not something that the Wetlands Protection Act cares a whole lot about. And we wanted to pursue that, I think we might have that opportunity.
Sounds good.
You had a question, Scott?
Just a question on that, Miriam. And you're getting to it there with, I assume, whatever restoration activity would take place under the Wetland Protection Act. Do you have a feeling, or have you had discussions with DP in terms of how they would look at areas there in the buffer zone protected by the bylaw, and whether or not those would they be looking to fully restore that as well?
They wouldn't treat it as we might treat it because they don't consider it a resource area. And I don't know whether or not they, what they would do in that matter. I don't know. And we don't even know what was altered. Nobody's been on the site. So it's all very conjectural right now. I mean, the abutters think that there's some culverts and stream crossings that were added, and they think that some BVW has been filled. When we were out there, we could see that a large flat gravel parking driveway area went right up to a dip in the ground where you could see cattails. So it certainly looked like this fill went all the way up to an edge of bank of a BVW, or is in a BVW. And probably somebody's gonna have to do some soils testing to figure out that wetland line.
Yeah, as it progresses, we may just want to reach out to DEP and say, we have different regulations for the buffer zone. And so, just let us know how this is going along. And if it is a lot of buffer zone impact, whether or not, we can have a little bit of a say somehow in what happens with the buffer zone based on the bylaw.
Yeah, that's what I did say that to her, because they would not, for example, if there was an isolated wetland that was altered, if it was a jurisdictional isolated wetland under the bylaw, DP might not do anything about that because it wouldn't be jurisdictional under the Wetlands Protection Act, but it would be under ours. So things like that. And the abutters think that there were some vernal pools filled. I don't know if that's true. Okay, so there no more to be said about that. I just wanted to give you an update on it, and we are just about out of time, and we did really well getting through everything. Yay. we had to reschedule and cancel some site visits. And I'm hoping to reschedule them for tomorrow. Robin, are you available?
I am not, because Jim and I are hiking with his brother.
Okay. And Mary, are you available? Or are you still,
Where are the site visits?
they're all over.
Okay,
One is
well,
on North
what time
World.
what time are you looking?
I was hoping maybe morning. What, are you
Okay.
committed? Are you still on grandmother duty?
Nope, I dropped everybody off today, so
You're free. So are you available during the day?
yes, I could do during the day.
Okay, I will email you or text you, and once I figure it out with the landowners then.
Okay.
And if not, maybe on Friday, we can get this done.
Yeah, either day I'm okay.
Okay. All right, and just as an FYI, you guys have to schedule a site visit to my property. I'm not gonna coordinate that. You guys get to coordinate that and let me know.
Yeah, which meeting is your RDA? Is it
On the
the
14th.
14th or the 28th? Oh, okay.
14.
Okie dokie.
Okay, thanks. All right, it's
So
six.
is anybody else available to do that tomorrow as long as we're out there?
It sounds like it's
mean,
just
not-
you and me, so no.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
Okay, you guys will let me know. All right, somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second,
Second,
okay. David,
Hi.
Harrington,
I.
Scott is a yes,
Aye, yes.
and Wilson.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everybody. All right, good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.